You know, I sometimes think that we have a tourism industry out of luck. We are lucky we have a tourism industry at all. How can it be sustainable, ladies and gentlemen, to have a region dependent on tourism that is a region with the highest crime rates in the world? How can that be sustainable? How can it be sustainable, ladies and gentlemen, to invite people to enjoy our pristine environments, the beauty of our beaches, of our mountains, of our forests, of our fauna, and to have smelly landfills for our trash, or pump it out into the very beaches we're asking people to pay thousands of dollars to sit on? How is that sustainable? How is it sustainable to charge people hundreds of dollars a night and deliver the kind of service that we all know in this room that you get in the Caribbean on average, compared to what they get in places now increasingly more accessible to the tourists that we target, be it Dubai, be it Bali, be it the Far East? How can that be sustainable? It's not. I fear that our tourism industry is headed the way of our sugar industry. Just 100 years ago, our region was dependent on king sugar, and for some other places, similar plantation crops. Our flagship industry, our profitable industry. 100 years later, sugar is a footnote in most of our islands. Indeed, what little bit of sugar we still do is really there just to, as an employment program, as a tourism program, as a support the rural sector program, not as a sugar program. And is that because sugar is not profitable? The most fast-growing region in Brazil today is its sugar-producing region. I fear that, like in the sugar industry, and the sugar industry failed because of a lack of investment. A lack of investment by our private sector. And they didn't invest because they didn't need to invest, because they had the preferences. And what the preferences did was meant that they could continue to be least efficient every year, less and less efficient, their profit margins falling, and as a result of these collapsing profit margins, they couldn't invest. And we ended up with all the most inefficient sugar industries in the world, having had one of the most productive sugar industries in the world, blessed by wind power, sun power, and markets. And I fear that our complacency is going to take us in the same direction. We are complacent on crime. We're complacent on service quality. We're complacent on our environment. And there are things we can do to solve these problems. We need to have a zero tolerance to crime. Whenever you hear a government minister, a police officer, apologizing for crime, oh, don't worry, it's drugs. Don't worry, it's gangs. You're not going to be affected. You must say zero tolerance for all crime. Criminals do not have a highly developed sense of moral duty. When they're trying to chase after that gang member, they don't think, oh, pause, guys, there's an innocent bystander in the way. And we've seen that in Trinidad and Jamaica. There must be zero tolerance for any type of crime, wherever it is. And if overseas governments want to help us, we should welcome that, not turn it away in some misplaced fit of nationalism. Because at the end of the day, we can only be independent if we are economically strong, and we cannot be strong if we are crime-ridden. And when it comes to the environment too, there are things we can do. The first thing we should do is to begin by accounting for our environment. We as a region mine our environment. We mine it. We mine our beaches. We generate revenues from our nature. And we sell it. And that is fine if you know what you're doing. If you're accounting for the environmental degradation and investing back in that environment. And so we must begin by having a balance sheet. Every country should establish an environmental balance sheet. Our environmental assets and our environmental liabilities. And we must know that we are growing not because we are reducing our assets, but because we're getting returns from investment in our environment. We need to rethink the way we exploit our environment. We try on service quality. I think one of the biggest things we can do is improve the exposure of our hotels and our staff to what are benchmark performances, expectations abroad.